Hello and welcome everybody to today's Live at Lunch. And today I thought it would be really useful to explore some tips and ideas and um, explore how we can work from home so we feel a little bit more motivated and maybe a little bit more efficient and a bit calmer in case you're feeling really overwhelmed and um, feeling like you're struggling a bit with working from home. It was interesting. I was invited on a radio show this morning to discuss this, and it struck me that there are quite a few people out there who are feeling like they're pulled in different directions, that they have lots of different competing interests, and perhaps not really feeling like they're very good at any of them at the moment, and maybe not feeling like they're working hard enough or not helping with their kids enough. And I thought it would be useful to explore that today. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Andrea Morrison. I'm a transformative coach and I work with professionals and entrepreneurs, sharing a simple understanding of how we work to enable them to be more successful in whatever way they want to define that in what they do and enjoy their lives more. So if you do enjoy this particular recording, then do please like it, share it with anyone, and comment. I'd love to know what you hear in it, whether you hear anything that's new or helpful. So what are my thoughts on working from home, and how can we do it more with ease and be a little gentler and kinder to ourselves, and maybe, dare I say it, enjoy it a little bit more? Because of course, you know, these times are unusual times, shall we say. They're not what we're used to. And the first thing that came to my mind when I was thinking about this is to let go of those ideas about how you think it should be. You know, human beings are really good at imagining how things are going to be. And it may have been when this had started, first of all, you might have imagined that, you know, you had lots more time because you're not commuting and that you were going to achieve lots of things. You know, maybe you were going to take up a new hobby or, you know, write a book or decorate somewhere, you know. And you might not have done that. You know, the weeks have gone on and that hasn't happened. And that can leave us feeling a little frustrated. So maybe notice that that's what you're doing and let that go. Let that idea of what you thought this would look like go. There are other things that creep in when I think about that, because we also have an idea about how our days should be. We have an idea about, you know, what routine we should have. There are so many examples out there of, you know, different routines that we should be doing and that should be helpful to us. You know, whether it's getting up at 5 o'clock and maybe filling in our gratitude diary, or, you know, meditating, doing some yoga on the lawn, or, you know, to put us in the right frame of mind, or, you know, or maybe there's another routine that you have. Maybe you've come up with one of your own and you say, right, you know, I've got to work for 2 hours and then I'll have a break for an hour and then I'll work for another 2 hours. And we have this kind of fixed idea of what a day looks like. And when we don't match up to that gold standard, when our day doesn't turn out like that, we start feeling frustrated. We start feeling like that we're not doing it properly, that we've missed out, that we could have been more efficient, more effective. And that feels, you know, quite like disturbing to us, for want of a better word. You know, we feel it. We feel this frustration. We feel this tension, this stress, because we've not had the day that we thought we were going to have. I mean, that can be a little confusing because we might think, well, it worked so well yesterday, that routine. Why did it not work well today? Well, do you know what? That's because we're human, right? We're not robots. We don't show up the same every single day. So a routine that works one day may not work the next day. It might work for 7 days and then just not work. you know? So for me, it's about really being alive to that fact that human beings are flexible in the way that we show up. And so our ideas have to be flexible too. When we start to realize that, oh, okay, my thinking has created an idea of a routine going forward into the future, rolling out the same day after day after day after day. That was my own personal thinking. Life has a different plan. Oh, we know that now, don't we? Life has a different plan for us. Yeah. And the tension that we feel is the difference between what our thinking has created, that routine that's going to go on every single day in exactly the same way, going on into the future, and what we're actually experiencing. The tension is in the difference in those two things. So the more we see, the more we notice that, oh, okay, right, my thinking, this gift of thought that we have, that narrator that constantly babbles away in our minds, that thought has created that gold standard of my day. It doesn't really exist. It's an illusion. Yeah. I time traveled tomorrow and I decided what kind of day I was going to have. And then the day that I had didn't match up to that. And I'm going to do some frustrated thinking about that. Oh, well, if I take away the illusion, all that I have left is the day that it is. This is how my day is. And what I find is when we're able to spot that, when we're able to notice that, we fall into a calmer space that feels more like acceptance. Feels more like, oh, okay, this is how today has been. This is how my day is today. And we're no longer battling between where we are in real time and where our thinking is telling us we should be. Because we've let that idea go. We've just let that pass. And I find that this really helps when we have kids around. Now, I've worked from home for the last 9 years, 8 or 9 years. Now, my eldest is 16. So when I started, my kids were really small. And I had all the holidays where I was trying to build my business and my kids were at home. So I would have to do my work around my kids, right? So, and I didn't, for some of this time, I didn't have this understanding when my kids were small. So I really get the frustration thinking, that when we have a list of things to do, and we have other commitments to make, maybe we've got meetings to attend or phone calls that we need to make. It is really hard to do that when you've got small kids. Yeah, because it seems, and I mean, I used to joke, the moment I left the room or the moment I touched my phone or looked at my laptop, it was as though that was like a hotline to one of my kids to go do something crazy, like start playing with a Sharpie pen or something, So it can be challenging. But you know what? How we create that is to us. Yeah, the kid's eating the Sharpie pen, but we often have quite a lot of choice as to how we deal with that. All right. Now, again, I'm going to hold my hands up and say, you know what? This is not about gold standard living. This isn't about creating some kind of superhuman that is never going to get frustrated, never going to get cross, never going to be sharp with the kids. It's not about that. It's about understanding how we work as human beings so that we can notice it. And if we don't notice it, we've got this wonderful gift of reflection and we can reflect and go, oh, yeah, I know what happened there now. Yeah. And working with kids is, it's fluid. All right. Right. There is no planning when you're working around with kids. All right. Because kids run on a completely different schedule. They have a completely different timetable. In fact, actually, kids are really good at being in the moment. We can learn a lot from our kids right now because they are in the moment beings. You know, one minute they want to play with Lego, the next minute it's like, oh, I'm hungry, I need to eat. Oh, yeah, now I need to do this. Oh, can I watch some TV? Can I do? And they very much go with the flow of the day. And there we are as adults with our idea of how the day should be and what it should look like. Yeah, remember, we can learn a lot from kids. Knowing that, okay, there are things that we may have to do during the day, but working out what we have to do and kind of what is optional that we can fit in as and when, that can be useful as well. So, oh, okay, now she's watching Peppa Pig. Right, I'll just get that email done really quick. Yeah. Not having the idea in our mind that I can only work when I'm sat at my desk with the door shut in complete silence. Yeah. What can we do that is a bit more flexible, looking for that flexibility, looking for that, how we can be a little bit more fluid. Yeah. And there's a lot there to be said about that place of acceptance, accepting how things are, how it is at the moment, accepting that kids are going to interrupt you, that even when we're having a meeting, it may be that somebody may appear at the door, you know, or you may get a request to go and help with something halfway through, and we're all there. Everyone is there. And I think that's one of the beauties about what is happening at the moment, is that we're almost being forced to show up as humans in our work environment. There's been many, many, many decades of us showing up for work as though we have nothing else in our lives but work, and that we only have that one thing. And now this is almost forcing our hand to see each other and all our colleagues as human beings. And we're all in the same boat. We're all in the same boat. And knowing that and accepting that, having a gentleness about that, a kindness about that as well. Understanding that maybe that idea that we had about what looks professional maybe isn't relevant right now. Redefining that professionalism. Because again, that idea of what is professional and what's actually going on now in real time, it's the difference between those two things that is causing the tension, and letting that go, letting that idea go. Another thing that occurred to me, and I've touched on it a little bit, is be kind to yourself, be gentle. Understand there's no gold standard here. It's really easy to give ourselves a really hard time, especially at times like this. We have lots of ideas about how other people are doing, and we can really get sucked into the thinking that other people are doing it better, that they're doing it more professional, that they're getting more done, they're being more efficient, more effective. We do a whole lot of thinking about how we should do better. And what will happen if we don't? What will happen if we don't do better? When we notice that we're thinking that, let that go. That's a great thing about thinking. We don't have to do anything to get rid of it. Thinking comes in our head and it does go. It does pass. Especially when we don't pay it attention. It'll pass by itself. And when it does, we fall back into this nicer space. And in that nicer space, there's a good degree of calmness there. And When I talk about that nice space and how we find that nice space, the easiest way to find it is to be in the moment. Now, I'm not talking about kind of active mindfulness, doing something like sucking a sweet and thinking about the sweet and all that. I'm talking about a very quiet mindfulness, a state of mindfulness, a state where we can notice our thinking. That, often our thinking might take us into the past and start describing things to us about what happened and what was before. And maybe if we've been in a meeting that hasn't gone so well, we might regurgitate that in our minds. Or maybe we're thinking about how we used to work before and how much we miss that. So our thinking might take us into the past, or it might take us into the future. How can I do this for another 3 weeks? What's going to happen if I don't get that work done? I've got so much to do today. Even that's a future thinking. And when we start to notice how our thinking can take us either to the past or to the future, a bit like a pendulum, if you like, going backwards and forwards, and noticing that and letting that go, and just bringing yourself very much back into the moment, bringing yourself back into now, and noticing how that feels to you when you're in the now, because that gives us a really good barometer as to where we are during the day. If we're feeling stressed, that tells us we're doing some stressful thinking. And when we're feeling in that nice space that we get when we're in the moment, that's the kind of sweet spot, if you like. And then we can tell from there where we are with our thinking, because we can feel it. We're really simple beings. We can feel it. We can feel it in ourselves. Oh, I'm feeling really tense. I've lost that nice feeling. Oh, that's because I'm thinking about everything I have to do later. Okay, well, let's just bring ourselves back to now. We get, as human beings, we get into this habit of feeling that stress is really useful for us, that it motivates us, that it enables us to think clearly and get more done, and it's a really simple misunderstanding, and it's one that I had for many, many years. When we start to see that actually we are the most motivated and the most effective and efficient when actually we're in that calm, quiet space. We just get stuff done. There's no drama about it. No hypeness, nothing. We just get stuff done. And ultimately, that's what we want. That's what we want, isn't it? When we're working from home, we want to get stuff done because we've got other competing interests. So most of us have got more to do, or we feel like we have more to do. One of the questions that I was posed earlier is, well, how can we be more focused? And again, I was thinking about this, and maybe I should have done it in a separate live, but I'm here now. And there are people listening, so whilst I've got your attention, how we stay focused. Experience of lack of focus is because my mind is going off in different directions. So I might be, writing something or composing an email, and my mind be going, yeah, what about this? What about this? Go and do this, go and do that. Don't forget to do this. Don't forget to do that. And I'll feel like I have to get up and do those things before I forget. And then I'll come back and do it. And again, this is our thinking sucking us in. If I feel I might forget something, I just make a note of it and do it later. We don't have to be beholden to every single thought. We don't need to act on every single thought. Just because we have the thought that says, go make a cup of coffee, we don't need to have to make a cup of coffee right now. Just because we have the thought, oh, put a wash in, we don't need to do that right now. We can carry on with what we're doing, Often what I find is that I have like a sense of what I need to do. Like it's like a gut feeling. Yeah, Andrea, you need to do this, this, and this, and this today. You need to get that done, right? And I've learned to listen to that, right? That's my kind of my good advice feeling. And then my head will flutter of lots of other things. Yeah, but you need to do that, and you need to do this, and what about this? And you need to send that email, and you need to, and it's twittering away in my mind. But I've learned that I can notice that, but I don't need to pay attention to it. And the one that I need to pay attention to is that deeper sense of what I need to get done. And if I have time, then I can revisit all those other things and see what one I want to do. But ultimately, the one I pay attention to is what I know needs to be done. And we use that kind of language, don't we? I know what I need to do. But I think, da 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 da, but what if, da 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 da, and we start going off. And that to me is a really good indication. When I start talking to I talk to myself, I talk to my dog a lot as well. You know, I know what I need to do. I knew I needed to do that, right? That's what I listen to. And the rest is optional. When I find I do that, I become really focused. And the less thinking I have in my head, the more settled I am, then I can get more done. So my one kind of takeaway, I suppose, in this life is really to focus on how you're feeling, because that's indicating to you where your state of mind is. And if you're in a lower state of mind, if you're feeling frustrated or stressed or worried or fearful, because, and that's indicating to you that you're doing that kind of thinking, and instead of going faster, stop. Allow your mind to settle. Everything, unless you are in a life or death situation, everything can wait a few moments for you to settle. And those few moments will set you straight and will really impact the rest of your day. Well, I hope you found that useful. If you have, I can see there's a few people here and I've had some likes. So if that's lovely. So if you have enjoyed the video, then do give me a like, comment in the comments box. I'd love to know how this has landed with you, what you've heard today that you feel has been useful. And do share it and subscribe to my channel if you're on YouTube, or if you're on Facebook, then do follow me or like my page. That would be great. Thank you very much now. Bye-bye.